Hello and welcome to Sales Gambit. I'm your host, Ashish, CEO of Convin, a conversation intelligence platform for the sales teams. In today's episode of Sales Gambit, we have Laura Erdem, an account executive at Dream Data, ex-enterprise account executive at Gartner and Red Hat. A fun fact about Laura, she recently was in unhealthy competition, as she claims in a recent LinkedIn post with a co-founder, to see who reaches the 10K followers on the LinkedIn first. And she won. We'll talk about that, how she went about with it, and the learnings in detail. But although we have spoken about social selling on Sales Gambit before, we couldn't think of a better timing to start speaking more about it, and that's why we have got Laura in place. How to generate sales with lead inbound with LinkedIn social selling is what we are going to discuss today with Laura. Welcome to Sales Gambit, Laura. I'm super excited to host you today.
Thank you so much, Ashish. I'm very excited as well. And thank you for noticing the competition.
Interesting. So do you want to put up light on that? What was exactly that?
Oh, the competition? Yeah. So, well, I have a CMO who knows which buttons to push to excite people and get them going. This is not the first time he does this. And it's like approximately 3 months ago, he came over to me and said, Laura, who do you think is going to reach 10,000 followers faster? And I didn't even look how many followers he has. I said, me! And it was like, then later I had a look and then he has 8,000, I've got 6. It's like, oh, this is not good. Let's do something about that. And I'm in sales, crazy competitive, and I won by 3 followers. Were we doing countdowns? At the time of the day, it was last week on Wednesday, I think, like count down, how many do I have left? He needed 3 for us to finish. So we both won. But I think he
Interesting.
Great.
Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. So how did you get to that number of crazy followers? I think this what we're going to discuss today with LinkedIn social selling?
Yeah.
Very great. Amazing. So before we jump into the topic, right? How did you get into sales? If you can tell us a bit about your journey till now, people would be able to relate to you a lot more.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So first of all, my journey started, how did I get to IT at all? I studied sociology, and it's absolutely not the natural step to join an IT company. I had, back in the days, for many years ago, a recruiter reaching out to me and saying, Laura, you're a student. We would like you to join an IT company. I had no idea. I said, guys, do you even know that I don't know anything about Excel? That's how far I think of IT. That time it was Excel and I didn't know how to actually use it. So some coordination role and so on. So I joined CSC back and then, and it was a huge corporation. And I did many different coordination roles like resource management, knowledge management, and so on. I loved it, but I felt like I could love sales even more. And CSC was not the place where I really wanted to try out the sales career. I had some nice coaches who were like, oh, you could be good at that and so on. So I started to look for another job in sales. And that's where I joined Red Hat. I had a pretty nice career at CSC back then. I was there for 7 years, learned a lot about IT. And when I joined Red Hat, I kind of stepped to the side and a little bit lower than what the level of experience I had back then. I started as inside sales because I wanted to break through into sales. I loved it. First of all, it was not as much sales as much as I loved the company. And that came together beautifully because then slowly I found out, okay, I'm good at this. I can actually become an account executive. And what you need to do in the sales career, what I did was I asked for it. Say, how about I apply for this account executive position that we have right now? And I applied and I didn't get it.
Interesting.
I didn't get it. I said, okay, I think I'm very good. You don't think I'm very good. Please, let's work out how those two can match so I can get the account executive position at Red Hat. Then I got some mentorship and so on and so forth. The next time my position was mine. So then I became an account executive at Red Hat. I loved it. I really did. The feeling of closing big, complex, technical deals as early in your career in sales as I was,
Yeah.
fantastic. And the money as well. So you cannot not love this. So from there, then I got reached out by Gartner.
Hmm.
Gartner asked, Laura, do you want us to teach you challenger sales? Because Gartner bought challenger
Hmm.
sales.
Yeah.
Do you want to get higher salary? It was a high percentage growth in the salary and start selling to the C level in the
Hmm.
Danish C25 companies.
Yeah.
You don't say no. You don't say no. I loved Red Hat so much with all my heart, but it was a step that I really was like, you could not take the step. I did,
Yeah.
and from there, then I was approached by Dream Data, like 1 year in my Gartner career. That was a step of kind of, okay, moving from enterprise sales, from those beautiful big numbers you're closing with C level and everything, and moving into something totally unclear. What are you
Hmm.
going, like, what you're going to do? You're going to do sales, account executive at the startup, but
Yeah.
zero processes. Um, like a lot of things are not mapped out, but I really love the co-founders. They were fantastic. The story that they're building around their product, the experiences that they were having. I was thinking, with the experience in sales that I already got from the enterprises, coupled together with their entrepreneurship, I could learn a lot and grow with the company together. And that's how I'm here, account executive at Dream Data for almost 2 years now.
Very interesting. I I love that part of the whole story where you said that okay, they thought that you are not good, but you thought that you are good, and you were able to work out a way in between. And that's amazing, right? That isn't that sales all about generally, that you really have to figure out a way in general on where you can help and meet in between.
Oh, definitely. First of all, you always have to ask. If we're talking career things, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm thinking, oh, I could be better, or I could have more salary or something. If you just walk around with that feeling, you will always have that feeling and nothing will happen.
Yeah.
But if you, first of all, say that out loud to yourself, that's the easiest thing. Maybe
Mhm.
start to talk about that with your partner, and then it's much easier to talk about that with your manager. And the more you start talking about, like, okay, I feel I'm good and we need to close that gap together, and then
Yeah.
the manager will help you close the gap, you will start understanding. Just like in sales, as you're saying, the manager has a vision of a salesperson being like this. You
Mhm.
think you are like already like this, but there's a gap somewhere, there is a mismatch in between. You have to work out what it is. Do you need coaching? Do you need to close more deals, or do you just need to work a little more in order to become there? Yeah, that's
Mhm.
where like gap selling comes in almost.
Interesting. So coming to your fun challenge with Stefan, right? What did you do differently that led your LinkedIn followers to grow by, let's say, 4K in 3 months? Did you have a plan in place about what content to share, what time to post, what CTS to add, things like that?
Nope, no plan, just a lot of ambitions. So, maybe for the LinkedIn social, for like the whole LinkedIn story, I think it's
Mhm.
very important to notice where we started actually with Dream Data. So, first of all, with very small team, we're 27.
Okay.
And we started as a team to start with when we saw that social selling, at least our ideal personas we're selling, are on LinkedIn. We're selling to marketers, sometimes to salespeople, operations as well. And
Mhm.
this is the exact personas that are lurking on LinkedIn and reading the content. So if we're
Mhm.
doing all that together as a company, or at least people who generate revenue are generally like outgoing marketing and sales and so on, then we can
Mhm.
reach out to more prospects. And
Okay.
numbers very often is just the vanity metric,
Mhm.
meaning that those 10,000, well, it's nice. I can post a picture of it. It's like, oh, Stefan, we closed this. Now we have 20,000 followers together.
Yeah.
But it's a bit of still like personal over celebration for LinkedIn's sake. The important thing is that you do it consistently.
Okay.
Numbers focus 10K is nice, but even
Mhm.
if you have 1,000 followers, 2,000 followers, as long as you start building your messaging around it, as long
Mhm.
as you are reaching out and connecting with people that are your ideal buyer personas,
Mhm.
numbers don't matter. Consistency matters, and how you approach those people, how you engage with them on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
how are you responding to their requests, and at the same time, how much value you're building to the whole market. And then,
Understood.
if we talk about like tactics, what did I do? How did I plan all this? When
Yeah.
when we started this competition, well, one thing that I do, I connect with 100 people every week. I max out my LinkedIn invitations. This is the cheesiest thing you can think of how to grow your followers count. I do
Mhm.
this. I'm in sales. This is my job. And I connect only with people that I know that I can bring value to, that will
Mhm.
be interested in reading my content. So it's kind of a win-win. But then
Mhm.
again, I'm doing this. The next thing that I do, and I found that out like very close to the target line as well, is I communicate with people on and off the platform as well. So it becomes a community.
Okay.
I try to help out as much as I can. I ask for help, not always publicly, but sometimes also in direct messages for people. Like somebody was looking for a job, one of my friends. I reached out to some of the people I knew that might be offering a job as well. And when somebody has tried to help you as well, you've got a connection for the next time when you needed help. So, kind
Right.
of building that community of mutual help for each other is absolutely beautiful. But at
Mhm.
the very long last stretch, when Stefan had 200 connections left, no, I had 200 connections left, he had 25, I
Mhm.
needed to do something. And that's where I pulled ticks and trips. First,
Okay.
I went over to Pragia from Shield app. I said, Pragia,
Mhm.
you are an influencer in LinkedIn who could possibly help me grow my influencer. She said, yeah, let's take a picture together. I'll post about you. People will start following. She did, but it didn't help that much. It was a little boost, but I said, Pragya, what can I do now? So she said, no, I don't know. I said, okay, I'll pull the trigger. I'll ask for it. I mean,
Mhm.
again, you don't ask for it,
Yeah.
nothing will happen. I asked the followers of my LinkedIn saying that,
Yeah.
well, I'm in this competition now. Please help me. Who should start
Oh,
following me?
yeah.
People started tagging people like crazy. People started posting about it for the others and so on. So people started sharing really much.
Yeah.
And the co founder, Stefan, he's saying, as soon as people started creating a hashtag called Team Laura, I
Mhm.
knew I lost.
Yeah.
It's like it became a hashtag. So that's how the beauty of the community builds out. It does not matter how many connections you have. This can
Mhm.
be built only with genuine connections with other people.
So, were you posting on a regular interval of time a specific type of content for your user base or your existing subscription base?
Very good point. Yes. So this is one of the things that I committed to already 1.5 years ago. For
Okay.
1.5 years, I have been posting every workday. Every single workday, I didn't miss one, even when I was on holiday. And
Mhm.
we'll get into the tools of some of the tools that can help you out to do it.
Mhm.
But consistency matters. Some of the
Mhm.
posts were not as successful as the others. Some,
Mhm.
the other ones have really boosted out, even though I didn't expect it.
Okay.
So, consistency every single day. And specific content, I don't plan it that much. I
Mhm.
make sure to mix personal content with work content as well.
Mhm.
But as long as I have the company I work for in the title,
Mhm.
people will forget who I am. People will forget which company I work for. But
Yeah.
as long as the content is coming up over and over again from different directions, it will
Yeah.
be much easier to be memorizable.
Yeah. True. True. Very important question before we move on to the any other question before that. Did this really help you fill your sales pipeline at any point in time? This
Ooh,
whole
yes,
exercise.
yes. Well, dream data is so far only inbound driven. So when you talk about like sales led, marketing led, and so on, dream data is very heavily marketing led and product led.
Mhm.
and self-supported. All of
Mhm.
our leads are coming in inbound.
Mhm.
So I don't do outbound yet, but if I
Mhm.
started to do it, it will be very easy. There are prospects who are coming over to me and saying, "Oh, I've been following your content for so long.
Mhm.
Can we finally have a meeting together?" So this was not
Right.
outbound, but the way I call it is posting on LinkedIn is outbound in big scale. So I'm
Mm.
not posting for a specific person. I'm
Right.
posting for a persona. I'm connecting with the right people.
Right.
Whenever they're ready to buy, they're
Right.
gonna know where to go.
Did it
And
influence
happens all the
a better
time.
question? A better question, Laura, here might be that did it influence your ongoing deals or the other inbound deals that came to your plate and you were talking to them? Did it influence any of them?
Oh, that happens all the time. So the first thing that happened, people started to make notice, and they say that all the time. When some of the companies, they really like to ask, like, where have you heard about us from?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, imagine that this is the attribution point for you to scale.
Yeah.
Um, well, what we talk about, it's like most of the people will say we've heard about you from LinkedIn, but only because they memorize it.
Right.
So we want to map everything out and then see how much LinkedIn actually has influenced it. A lot of people say that, oh, I've heard about your content and stuff like that. The
Yeah.
most beautiful thing that happened, besides the inbounds that are coming in, I get them, like, I think around 4 or 5 a month are coming in and saying, should we just book a meeting and talk finally?
Mhm.
But the most beautiful thing that happened is our lost deals are starting to come back to us. They're
Mhm.
coming back to us and saying, Laura, I've been following your content for so long.
Mhm.
Now we're ready. And this is like the top of the iceberg, I think,
Mhm.
because we have been staying top of mind. As soon
Mhm.
as they're ready, they're back. But this doesn't happen overnight. One of
Right.
the things people are asking is like, how long should I start posting to see results?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
depends on your customer journey. For
Yes.
us, it takes around a year for a prospect to find us first touch through marketing channels.
Mhm.
Then that time from finding us into up till booking an actual meeting takes 6 months. And
Mhm.
then another 6 months in the process of booking a demo, starting a trial, closing the deal. So
Makes
almost
sense.
a year for a prospect to evaluate us. So we lost the deal back a year ago, but now a year has passed, those are coming back. So if we can measure this,
Mhm.
yes, and it's
Amazing.
beautiful.
Amazing. As I talked to you earlier, right? We have spoken about social selling on Sales Gambit platform before with Carson Heddy. He's at Microsoft. But one of the things that now we want to look for is, are there any exact set of steps, anything that people should follow specifically for LinkedIn as a
Mhm.
platform for social selling, right? Is there any set specific things? I remember you told me two things. One is that you were maxing out your LinkedIn invites all the time, all the weeks, right? Second, you really asked for followers. But if we keep that aside, are there any other
Yeah.
steps you suggest the fellow salespeople to follow on LinkedIn?
I could start with what people should not be doing on LinkedIn. First of
Okay.
all,
Okay.
people should not be resharing any of the branded content from their
Mhm.
company. Counterintuitive, please don't do that.
Mhm.
And anything that sounds like marketing, we are the best at this, or we have released this feature, and so on. Don't do that. Nobody reacts, nobody cares. What
Mhm.
people care about is, and now there comes the tips. If
Mhm.
you are bringing value that people can either, like, not just bringing value, but bringing an emotion in people. With
Okay.
your post, when you're posting something,
Mhm.
what are you trying to achieve in people's emotions? Do you want them to say, wow? Do they want them to say, really?
Mhm.
Or, no, this is wrong? Or, like, thank you? Whatever the feeling that you're trying to evoke in people, try to do that. And even if you are looking into your blogs for inspiration, what to post, don't reshare the blog. Please find 1 or 2 points out of the
Yeah.
blog that you would
Yeah.
like to share
Yeah.
and do it. Do it from a personal angle.
Right.
Something that I do when I'm out of ideas is I pick up a blog and I say to myself, this blog has to produce 5 posts.
Mm.
And then
Yeah.
I sit down and work. It will be a very similar message, some of them, but it will be turned around on the head. You become a better writer.
Yeah.
You start thinking, okay, if I wrote this and if I read it later, if it was not written by me, will I
Mhm.
be interested in reading this? Will I be bringing any value or any emotions in people?
Yeah.
Then post.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Understood. And do you spend some significant time during the whole week to be able to figure this out? These content from a single piece of blog or something like that.
Yeah, I only do that when I'm really lost with ideas. Right now, I'm in the flow where it's very easy. For me, I just need to sit down and say, okay, at this time when I'm in between meetings or something, I need to create a post. And it just comes.
Yeah.
I have a list of ideas what I could be posting whenever a
Mhm.
bad day comes, first of all. So if an idea doesn't come naturally for that day, then I move on to the list of the ideas that I have had earlier but didn't post yet. And then I write down the post it. It takes me like the easiest rule of all. If it takes
Mhm.
you more than 10 minutes to create and ship the post off, you have wasted your time. That's how I
Okay.
feel.
Okay.
Because you
Understood.
can chop things off and so on. If you have created a huge post and it took you half an hour to create or an hour
Mhm.
to create, then you have
Mhm.
to chop it into pieces of, like, let's say it took half an hour, then it has to be 3 posts, not one,
Und-
3.
Understood. Makes sense. Makes sense. Let's get right at it. I think it's one of the questions which is very important to the audiences, and many of them would have this. See, if I talk about cold call, right, it still gives me that perspective that one single cold call can lead to booking a demo or something like that, or even an email, right? In case of outbound, I'm just putting in perspective. It can help me, get that demo and help me probably, close deals as well. But then it's hard to justify spending time on social selling as a representative, as an account executive, because I'm not sure if it can be directly a sales related conversation. And this can be demotivating for a lot of people. What do you think about this?
It is a very valid point, and it has so many angles in it. So,
Mhm.
first of all, if we pick up like cold call versus social selling,
Mhm.
cold call can be effective,
Mhm.
but cold call can also lead to a deal that will close in a very long time. You cold call somebody, they didn't know that the problem exists, they didn't know anything about it, and
Mhm.
that means that it will take you longer time to close the deal. If you were doing social selling and the deal came inbound, that teaching part will have been done already by social selling. So you are not wasting your time while posting on LinkedIn if you're building value in your community,
Mhm.
but you're not seeing the exact results. So like, now I booked a call. Now somebody has read my post and that person is an ICP. I just need to call the person. Like, nowadays buyers, they want to be educated by themselves
Mhm.
and then come over to you when they're ready to buy. So, cold calling versus social selling, I think
Mhm.
both have to be worked out. If possible, like, do both. And doing social selling will help you to book much more qualitative meetings later, because
Mhm.
people will know about you, will know what you're solving, and the customer journey will be shorter for you to close that deal rather than they didn't know anything about you. But then
Mhm.
there comes a problem that you just mentioned. It's like, who owns the value? Not the value, but like, how do you attribute this? Is this marketing? Is this sales? They
Yeah.
came inbound, but they actually read my post. So, like, finger pointing, this is mine or this is yours. This one
Mhm.
is real, and this one is really tough to crack. That's
Mm.
why when companies are asking for is like, oh, how do you justify your time? How do you do it? It comes from the leadership. If management can see the possibility for your sales to close deals faster and to help marketing to build your brand, to educate your market on the side of your sales work, then it's magic, because management is supporting this. Management has to actually be posting on LinkedIn. So people in sales see that it's okay, I spend time on social. My manager is not looking over me over the shoulder if I scroll LinkedIn and like some of the things, because there are
Okay.
so many things you still need to do on LinkedIn besides posting, commenting, liking, and like all this community. It's a mess if you don't
Yeah.
nail it right, and if you feel that this is something wrong that you're using your time on. So getting management on board,
Mm-hmm.
then starting to post, and if you top it off with cold calls, if you prefer to do that, I
Mm-hmm.
think the customer journey will be so much shorter. It will be so much faster to close the deals for you, or even to reach your prospects on the call. Whenever I call somebody and I mention that I'm the company I work for or who I am, it's like I get the, oh, nice to meet you. How
Yeah.
often do you get that when you cold call your prospects?
Yeah. True. 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 So what you're saying is that instead of looking at them against each other, it's better to combine both of them, and it can really help shorten the entire customer journey of how customers discover you, how well they value you, how better they interact with you, and how soon you can have the discovery and the rest of the process being done. Right? If I understand it
Yeah,
correctly.
definitely. And that's where kind of the whole marketing and sales combination comes into life. It almost
Mhm.
becomes a science,
Yeah.
but it has to work for the whole revenue machine to start generating really nice revenue. Because by scaling outbound, you need to scale people. You
Hmm.
need to get more people to do
True.
more outbound, because there is a limit of how much you can do.
Yeah.
You can scale marketing without needing to scale people. The
Hmm.
same you can do with social selling. The
Hmm.
more you are out there on LinkedIn, imagine 1.5 years ago I had 2,000 followers, now it's 10. And all of those are our ideal customer profiles. So we are scaling our demand
Yeah.
base without needing to scale people.
Makes sense. That's really interesting. You mentioned briefly about sales and marketing being collaborative there, right? In the whole approach. When you work on social selling, right? It can be about generating content and a lot of other things. Do you really take help from marketing to do or generate content specifically, or do you own this entire process end to end?
I own it by myself.
You own it, man.
We are giving like totally free hands. I don't care. But if I need help, then they're there all the time.
Understood.
So whenever somebody from our team needs some help, it's like, oh, I'm stuck. I haven't posted for a month. What should I do? We've got
Mhm.
blogs
Mhm.
created by our content writer. We
Mhm.
get chopped off blogs that they could be posting. We do the collaboration between marketing and sales all the time. They attend our meetings. We understand what they're working on and so on. Whenever we need help, we will get it, and always we know what they're measuring so we can become better at our work as well. So it's a constant collaboration.
Understood. Makes sense. And very quickly, uh, you know, if you say that you are collaborating with marketing around to do that, like, is there a specific process set for that, or do you meet every now and then with the marketing team to get content from them, or is it just on the need basis on the fly?
We've got, first of all, we've got Slack channels for a lot of things like
Okay.
social selling, then a revenue team, specific sales channel, and so on.
Mhm.
But our CMO is on all of them, and we are also on the content channel as listeners as well. So a lot of things are taken by Slack of the
Mhm.
awareness. If you like to read, it's available for you. But then
Mhm.
again, marketing is informing us all the time, every week on our all hands call. What are they working on?
Mhm.
What are their results? What they're expecting, and so on. So we know what's top of mind.
Mhm.
And it goes the other way around. Our marketing is a part of our weekly sales call as well, walking
Mhm.
through the platform pipeline so they understand which prospects are we selling to
Mhm.
and what challenges we have and so on, so they can help us out tackling it too. So it's not a kind of a process set in stone, but we
Mhm.
make sure collaborating and include each other in the conversations that are necessary as well.
Understood. Understood. Makes sense. Coming to the most important part of the podcast, right? Irrespective of everything that is going on the world, uh, different mediums of reaching out to prospects, different ways of creating your network with the prospects. why do you think social selling is still a must-to-have task for every salesperson?
Mhm. Because all of the prospects are nowadays buying differently than they used to do 10 years ago. When I joined Gartner, when talking about challenger sales, there are
Mhm.
3 steps that prospects are going through with the salesperson.
Okay.
Teach, the salesperson is teaching them.
Mhm.
Teach.
Mhm.
Tailor, the salesperson is tailoring the sales process for them, working together with them. And at the
Okay.
end, the salesperson is taking the control of the process. So teach, tailor, take control. A very
Mhm.
good process, but I
Mhm.
think it's outdated because I think teaching is done on social.
Yeah.
Prospects do not want to be taught by their salespeople. They want to find out the information on their own hand. It
Mhm.
could be that they will understand more things when they meet the salesperson, but the buyer's journeys are changing. There's so much of information to grasp when you're buying some, if, yeah, let's say software tools. You will investigate yourself like so much before you actually reach out to sales.
Yeah.
And that's why everybody has to be on LinkedIn. If you're teaching on big scale on LinkedIn, you will only need to tailor the sales process and take control of the sales process when your prospects are ready to buy from you.
Makes sense. Makes sense. We have talked about it briefly. You touched upon it that we will talk about the tools, and now is the right time to talk about the tools, Laura. So, what exactly are the tools that you're using to make social selling work for you on LinkedIn?
I only use 2 and don't use them very often either.
Mhm.
I use Buffer to schedule some of my posts. When I'm on holiday, I schedule my
Yeah.
post and I take it so easily. I just pick up some very well performed posts and just push them into Buffer for a week or 2 or 3 that I'm leaving for vacation. So
Okay.
this is what I'm using. The next one, Shield app. I'm using Shield app to understand the analytics of social selling as well.
Okay.
So, which content is performing? How did it change week by week? How is it growing? And so on. That's it. Nothing
Are the
else.
only two tools that you use, and just the regular posting on LinkedIn?
Hmm.
That's pretty
Not,
interesting. So I have seen people using a lot of those tools to try to figure out social selling, but I think you have really kept it simple.
yeah. I don't use any bots or anything like that and stuff. No, no. It's so far it's manageable. So
Yeah, makes
maybe at a point it will become different.
makes sense. Does it like really take a long to see starts, seeing the results from social selling, or it comes to you? For you, at least, it came very quickly. Can you say that?
It didn't come quickly, no. The results, if you think of like revenue closed or the actual business results to see, it will
Hmm.
take you as long as the customer journey to buy your product is. So
Okay.
for us, a year is when we see actual results on customer journey. The early results we started to measure, like first touch, social
Conversation.
channels,
Yeah.
yeah, things like that, you will start seeing that much faster. You will see your views numbers growing and you will see more connections coming in and so on. But this is not a result so far. This is just the process towards closing more deals, because that's why we're all there. Like, yes, having nice connections and nice conversations is good, but this is not a result as itself. It's just kind of a nice community that you can have forever in your life.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And do you rely on the organic traffic for this whole thing, or do you also see a value in posting up things and increasing your engagement or sponsoring your content over the period in time?
Mm, we sponsor only our company branded content, so not personal branded content, and it amplifies each other.
Hmm.
So that keeps you top of mind. So what marketing does, we can see on Dream Data which companies are on our website and watching us, so on. So then you can do retargeting on those on LinkedIn, and if they see both people posting and then your retargeting ads, then it's much easier whenever you are ready to buy to either click the post or just reach out directly to the person.
Makes sense. And last but not the least, I would love to hear about your reading recommendations for audiences that can help them get better at social selling on LinkedIn. Any ideas around that? Any suggestions that you ask people to go through?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, reading recommendations. If you stay on LinkedIn, you will very quickly grasp what's cooking. It's kind of even
Yeah.
make a post about it, recommend some things for me, and people will just jump on it. Do that, be easier to grasp. And but I know that a company called Revenue Zen is running really, really nice trainings for social selling. And for if you are really into it, it's like, oh, I would like to be trained on this, do that. Definitely do that. And they'll help you out. Other than that, I don't know. I've got a lot of content for sales of how to do it, but otherwise for social selling, it's like an untapped market really for maybe writing a book or something. I've seen that there are already books about like how to get through on TikTok or something like that. So maybe somebody could write a book. I think Daniel Disney wrote a book about social selling on LinkedIn. Check him out. I haven't read the book, but I've seen the
Maybe you'd
copies of-
maybe you'd want to publish something as an ebook and help people out there.
Maybe. Well, you're talking about passive income, right? Then it has to be a book people want to buy. But
Yeah.
it's not in the plans at all. It's not in the plans, but
Yeah.
be there, ask for help. People will definitely jump and help you out very quickly.
Makes sense. That brings me to the end of this podcast, Laura, which was an insightful session, I must say. I learned a lot, and I'm sure the audience will love this too. Thank you again for coming on Sales Gambit.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Great. So this is your host, Ashish, signing off. We'll see you in the next episode.